Hey, you don't know me, but if you know anything about Pokemon games and the Pokemon found inside them, you know that for the most part, whenever a third or additional set of games comes out, it will have more Pokemon available than the first two. Black 2 and White 2 added Pokemon outside of Unova, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon added 3 more Necrozma forms, because he's a good boy who deserves it. But this always wasn't the case. Notably for my childhood, Pokemon Emerald had 5 native Hoenn evolution lines that weren't available at all in Emerald, which really disappointed me when I found out about it. I always wondered why these mons were excluded from being in Emerald. Were they too powerful for their own sake? That gave me an idea. What if I did an Emerald run with only these Pokemon? Can I beat Pokemon Emerald with only version exclusions? First, let's go over the rules. 1. I can only use the following Pokemon: Zangoose, Skirskit, Masquerain, Roselia, Meditite, Medicham, and Ludotone. 2. I can use other Pokemon for any HMs that these Pokemon can't use. And 3. No using items in battle, though held items and items outside of battle are fine. And as for when I'll be getting these Pokemon, I decided that when I get to each area that each Pokemon would normally be found, I would add them to my team before the first one that I got, because it's a couple routes ahead from where you get your starter. And with that, let's begin the run. So to start my journey, I move into a new home in Little Root Town, and after settling in for 5 minutes, I immediately start my journey across the region. First by helping the local professor, by picking out a Pokeball in his bag that contains a Surskit, which was summoned via the Universal Pokemon Randomizer. Mudkip was replaced because at this moment, Trico would be the most difficult one for me to face. Though that doesn't really matter in the end, since Brendan only has one significantly difficult battle. That said, I did grind a good bit to get Quick Attack before facing him for the first time, so what the hell am I talking about? Moving on from that though, the next few routes were mostly easy. The thing about Surskit is that even at this point in the game, it's a pretty weak Pokemon, so a level lead is the only real thing that's keeping us from struggling. Though I did get knocked out one time by a lasso at a Shroomish. Eventually, I made it to Roxanne's gym. There, I challenged her. Her fight here is entirely dictated by one Pokemon. Her Geodudes crumple like paper to some bubbles from Quickshot. Her Nosepass, on the other hand, can take a few hits. Meanwhile, she can clap back with her Rock Tombs. However, Rock Tomb is only 20% accurate, and my bug can live 2 hits without a crit. I think with a little luck, I can win this.
Dormammu! I've come to bargain! Dormammu! Dormammu! Dormammu!
Okay, wow, that took a while, but in the end, I won once, and that's all that matters. Moving on, I then helped out a few more people before getting back to Dewford Island. There, I went inside a cave and found an eccentric rock collector. Then I challenged Gym Leader Brawly. Oh my god, he's way too powerful for me. I couldn't even beat his Machop, so instead, I decided to move on and try a different fight. Specifically, the third of Brendan fight, Wowie. This one took a few tries as well, and not only that, it also required an Oran Berry. On my winning run, Quickshot hit 2 bubbles to take out Slugma while dodging a rock throw. Next was his Wingo, who missed a Supersonic and then ate a critical Quick Attack. Then he died soon after, but did let a ground pull before failing. Last was his Grovyle, who after a long war of pursuits and quick attacks, was slain after a lucky crit. And just when I was about to give up too.
Stop! Make this stop! Set me free! No. I've come to bargain.
Now you might be wondering why I didn't let Quickshot evolve there. It's for a move that she can't get as a Macrosporine. I felt a bit confident from this win, so I backtracked back to Brawly's gym, and oh, okay, still too much. But after a short amount of grinding though, I got the move Bubble Beam, and replaced Bubble with it. This time, for sure I would win Brawly's gym, right? Yup, an evolved quad fighting type resisting Quickshot with Bubble Beam could in fact sweep his entire team. Only his Makuhita gave me trouble, and that's just because it was a thick boy who kept on living on low HP. Now you might think it was cheap to overlevel on a gym leader, and not only that, have a straight up upgrade in terms of both a Pokemon and move, but trust me, this is worth it in the long run. However, this isn't a one-man or one-bug show, so as I walk to the next route, let me introduce you to the second Pokemon of this run, Roselia, who I named Guns. And to just quickly explain to you how I'm getting these non-Emerald Pokemon in, I'm PK Hexing, and that's all you really need to know. Guns being here is kind of clutch, because if it weren't for him, this would have been the third gym in a row that I would have had trouble with, as, evolved or not, Quickshot is very weak to electric types, and I don't know if I could handle another bargain with Dormammu. And not only for that, there was also a plethora of other trainers around so that I could quickly train Guns up to be ready for Watson, the Grandpa Gym Leader. Okay, so this battle was actually pretty hype. It started with a Voltorb, a ticking time bomb that at any minute could blow up on my Flower Boy, so I took it out quickly with 2 Mega Drains, but it did land a Thunder Wave and paralyze Guns. Next was his Electrike, who I first Leech Seeded, and then after a good amount of attrition, took out with a Mega Drain. Next was his Magneton, the penultimate monster before his Ace. Now if Watson was playing this smart, he would have spammed Sonic Booms for a simple 3 to 4 shot. Instead what happened was an even longer war of attrition, where the combination of Leech Seed, Paralysis Stuns, Mega Drain, and a Super Potion on Watson's end made this fight last a very, very long time. Eventually though, it got to a point where his Magneton would fall after one more Leech Seed drain, so I took this opportunity to set up on a growth as the life from the robotic Polycule's eyes was taken out of them. This gave Guns enough EXP to evolve into level 25, where he learned Magical Leaf. I then decided to learn this because I didn't think that Guns could take out the Manectric with just 2 Mega Drains. This turned out to be the right call, as after setting up a Leech Seed, Guns' Mega Drain gets back to his health, and after that point he had set up a couple of howls, meaning that I needed to take this Electric Wolf out now. Right then and there, he hit a Quick Attack, bringing Guns to nearly single-digit health. Luckily, he not only got affected by Guns' Poison Point ability, and then after hitting him with a Magical Leaf, he wasn't able to live through the poison as well. With that pretty difficult fight out of the way, I moved on to the next few routes, eventually making it to Route 114, where I caught a Zangoose. Although he won't be particularly amazing right now, later on he will be what I think is my best mon. I named him Pancake. What, I couldn't come up with anything edgy? Then after that I made my way to Meteorite Falls, where I saw some eco-terrorists beat up a scientist and caught another Pokemon, Lunatone, who I named Khonshu after the Egyptian god of the moon, and also the voice in Moon Knight's head. Khonshu, being a bulky rock type, will be pretty handy for the next couple of gyms. Anyhow, I then followed those eco-terrorists named Team Magma up a volcano. There I faced their big nerd, Maxie. He led with a Mighty Ana, and I led with Pancakes. Today wasn't Pancake's day though, because he got hit with a 2 Sand Attack combo, and just barely managed to take out the Dark Dog. Next was his Zubat, who Khonshu took care of pretty easily. Last was his Camerupt, and for that I kept Khonshu out because I knew he completely walled that camel. After a few confusions, the Beast was down, and Maxie was defeated. Feeling good on my new hot streak, I decided to take a trip to Lava Ridge Town, where I challenged Flannery, the Fire-type gym leader. Quickshot took care of his Slugma and Numel, but when her Camerupt came out, it lived on what I can only imagine is 1 frickin' health, and in return one-shot with Overheat. Luckily, Khonshu is an experienced Camerupt killer, and after whittling it down and using up both of Flannery's potions, it fell. Last was a Turple, who I kept Khonshu in for. After missing a Hypnosis, she set up a Sunny Day. This got me worried for a moment, but it was for naught because the second Hypnosis landed even after waking up. The Tortoise never used Overheat once, even though that it would have been a possible 2-shot with his White Herb. Anyway, with the first 4 gyms done, I went around for a few routes to grind before facing Norman, the normal-type gym leader, and also my dad. He led with his Spinda, and I sent out Khonshu. He was able to bring down the spinning rabbit with a few confusions, eating a berry to deal with Teeter Dance along the way. Next was his Vigoroth, so I switched in Quickshot in for a few Bubble Beams, and she was able to win that fight as well, though at very low health. Next was his Lanoon, a very scary mon because it can set up belly drumming that could potentially sweep my team. Luckily though, Khonshu's confusions were able to take it out, but now he was in low health too. Last was his Slacking, so I sent Pancake out. I had Pancake do a Sword Stance as I hoped that he would try going for a counter, but instead he used Yawn, which although I managed to get a Strength in, it ruined Pancake's chances of taking him out. So I switched into Quickshot to Intimidate, and then once she fell as well, I sent out Guns. He Leech Seeded the Slacking while he was loafing around, and then came its Facade. which nearly took out my Flower Boy. But not only did he hold on, he also activated Poison Point and hit back with a Magical Leaf. And that combined with the accompanying damage from Poison and Leaf Seed, that won me the fight. That could have gotten worse, for sure. With that, I now had the move Surf, so I taught that to a Zigzagoon I had caught earlier for the run for HMs, and started on my merry way through the next few routes. Eventually, I made it to a Weather Institute, where the nerds inside were being bullied by the other eco-terrorist group of the game, Team Aqua. That fight wasn't notable though. What was notable was that the nerds inside gave me a cast from an appreciation, who I promptly killed without hesitation. Then my rival Renan came along, but honestly, he fell off. He did give me the HM for a fly though, so that's cool. Soon afterwards, I made my way to the flying gym where I faced Unova. I sent in Quickshot as she led with her Swablu. One ice beam later, and it was frozen solid. It did not last much longer after that. Then she had the bright idea of bringing her Tropius in on my Quickshot. The Pega Apatosaurus died as well. Next was her Skarmory, who I had Pancakes take care of with a couple of Thunderbolts. Then was her Pelipper, who died to a Thunderbolt. And last was her Altaria, but all it did was some weird dragon dances, so Khonshu was able to take it out with some rock throws. After that win in the jungle gym, I traveled over to Mount Pyre to catch my final Pokemon, Meditite, which I named Zen because I couldn't think of anything else. Zen honestly won't be the most useful mon, as every gym that Psychic or Fighting could be good against had already passed, but it's always nice to have another member of the team. Also, Team Aquas was there whatever. I tried to chase them to their base, but I ended up getting lost and raiding Team Magma's base instead. There, Maxie tried to reignite Groudon, but ended up sending the big lizard on a rampage, so I decided to take his frustrations out on me. This fight was a lot closer compared to last time, because Maxie pulled some bullshit. First, his Mighty Eata swaggered guns, which caused him to hit himself twice, meaning that Pancakes had to come in for the kill. Then his Crowbot got multiple flinches on Khonshu, thanks from some bites. Afterwards, he then confused her right Quickshot, bringing her to low health when she finally managed to take it out. Last, when his cameras came out, Quickshot wasn't able to get the one-shot, so Pancakes had to come in again and finish the battle. With Team Magma surely not going to do anything now, I continue chasing Team Aqua, my journey leading me to watch them commit Grand Theft Submarine, and I raided their base, though they once again got away in their Getaway Submarine. Great song, by the way. Not knowing what to do now, I decided to take a trip to Moss Deep City, where, on the way, Zen evolved into a Medicham, and after a long grind, I was ready to face Tate and Liza, the Psychic Twins. They took a few tries, most of my failures falling to bad luck at the start, which allowed them to snowball it into a guaranteed victory. On the fourth try, I opened by having both Khonshu and Quickshot Ice Beam their Claydol, their combined effort knocking it out and summoning their Soul Rock. Next, they focused their Ice Beams on Xatu before it could set up enough Calm Minds to sweep my entire team. Unfortunately though, the Soul Rock was able to set up a Sunny Day and Flamethrower Quickshot. I decided to bring out Zen because I didn't think anyone else was useful at this point. She managed to land 2 high jumps kicks in a row, taking out the Soul Rock before falling to the duo's last Pokemon, a Lunatone of their own. I tried bringing in Guts because he was a grass type, but one shot from a Psychic from the literal Moonrock, and he died. That was fine though. Khonshu and Pancake were able to finish it off for the win. After I exited the gym, suddenly Team Magma showed up again. I guess Maxie doesn't know when it's time to quit. They quickly took over the Space Museum because Hoenn does not have a military or even a police force. Luckily though, they have me, a 10-year-old, and that eccentric man from earlier in the video who was playing with rocks in a cave. We're just as good. Now this fight was a doozy. Maxie and his goon led with a Camerupt and a Mighty Eata, while me and Steven led with Quickshot and a Matang. Now feel free to ignore Steven, because he didn't really do much in this fight. Now, the thing about this is that Maxie's goon has a bitch version of Maxie's entire team, so I decided to focus on the weak link first. This was done with Quickshot Bubble Beaming his Camerupt, Ice Beaming into Quick Attacking his Golbat, and Ice Beaming his Mighty Eata. Seeing that he's on his own now, Maxie swapped in his Camerupt, which Quickshot also took out with another Bubble Beam, but then came out his Crobat, which took out my Bug. So I swapped in Khonshu to take it out with a Psychic. Last was Maxie's Mighty Eata again, so I swapped in Zen, but Steven took it down with a Solar Beam. Afterwards, to show his appreciation for my help, Steven gave me the HM for Dive. Now I could finally track down those pesky Aquas. And so I did, into a deep underwater cavern. There I fought Archie for the first and only time. It was easy. Zen for Mighty Hyena, Conchu for Crobat, and Guns for Sharpedo. Done. And with that, Archie reignited Kyogre, and now everything sucks. So it's up to me to summon a giant flying green snake to scare off the overgrown fish and lizard. With the world saved, I sought out to finish the gym challenge by facing Hoenn, the water-type Baron. Now, just like with Roxanne, the thing about this fight is that only one Pokemon really matters. I led with Guns, who took out his Love Disc, then Zen took out his Celio, and after that Guts came back for his Wish Cache, and then there was his Kingdra, the double-teaming menace. Guns landed a Leech Seed and began a war of attrition. Immediately, the Seahorse started double-teaming itself, but thanks to the Magical Leaf, that was not an issue. But the real issue was that the Kingdra would keep on resting to re-heal itself back to full HP before I could get the knockout. Eventually, Guns himself got knocked out, so I sent in Quickshot to try the same thing, but she got Ice Beam too. With no more options for guaranteed damage, I sent out Pancakes as Kingdra was about to rest. I took this opportunity to Swords Dance twice so I could knock it out with a single strength. Pancakes attempted one strength and it missed. Then he tried again, and missed. Then he tried for the third time and got the hit. With that, the Kingdra fell, and all that was left with was a Lobster that also died to a +4 strength. Thank God that ended up the first try. With that, I got all 8 gym badges and made my way to Victory Road. There, Wally wanted revenge for that time I beat him up, but that twerp couldn't do shit. Quickshot Ice Beam his Altaria, Zen Jump Kicked his Magaton, Pancake Strength his Delcatty, Conchu Ice Beamed his Gardevoir, and Guns Sludge Bombed his Roselia. Anyway, after I went through Victory Road, I definitely trained up all my Pokemon to level 55 and then challenged the lead. Here's my stats and moves before we begin. Let's do this. First up, Sydney. He was a complete wipe. Guns took out his Mighty Hyena and Crawdon, and Quickshot took out his Shiftry and Cacturne. Zen took out his Absol. Next was Phoebe, and after definitely not resetting due to fucking up a sweep, Pancake Swords Danced on one of her Dusclops, and then proceeded to Shadow Ball her entire team. Third is Glacia. Pancake set up Swords Dance on her Celio as it set up Hail. Then I misclick and Shadow Ball the sub-rubbery thing, causing it to live on 1 health, except haha, I definitely didn't mess up. It was intentional to give me another turn to set up Swords Dance with, and then he used Brick Break to one-shot her entire team. Yay! Last was Drake. First was a Shelgon who likes to spam Protect, so I had Conchu Psychic him before hitting him with an Ice Beam. Next was his Salamence, who I decided to bring out Quickshot for. Thanks to Intimidate, she survived a Rock Slide, while his Overgrown Lizard didn't survive an Ice Beam. Meanwhile, Flygon was taken care of by another Ice Beam from Conchu. His Kingdra was beaten by Guns, and his Altaria was beaten by Zen, because I felt she didn't have much spotlight here. With the Elite Four done, all that was left was Champion Wallace, and for the first time since the start of the run, I am outnumbered. And not only that, but his entire Pokemon team has Pokemon that are both strong and unique from one another. This will be tough. I led with Zen, who didn't do much damage with Thunder Punch and took a tongue from his Double Edge. I then switched to High Jump Kick and took it out instantly. Next was his Tentacool, who took out Zen with a Hydro Pump, and knowing that it only had 80% accuracy, I swapped in Conchu to try its Psychic Hit, but as I landed the second Psychic, it did manage to land a shot on Conchu, so he was at red health. Next was his Gyarados, and oh look at that, my electric guy is dead. Who would have thought? I had Gun substitute, no not the move, in by setting up a Leech Seed. He then just barely took a Hyper Beam before managing to bring himself back up to whole health, before getting hit by another Hyper Beam, this one taking him out. I then decided to bring in Quickshot. I guess Wallace saw something in her, because he swapped in his Milotic, who shot an Ice Beam. Unfortunately, my bug couldn't do much, so once she unfroze, she got quickly knocked out. Desperate, I tried bringing in Conchu to try and explode on her, but he died before he could. Last for me was Pancakes, who then took out the Milotic with Return. That was fortunate, but Wallace still has half of his team left, namely Lucolio, who leech-seeded Pancakes, putting him on a timer. The power of friendship proved to be superior though, as Pancakes not only took out his Dancing Duck and his Sombrero, but also the following Wish Cache, who only used Amnesia. Last was Gyarados, who took a return before blasting back with a Hyper Beam, which combined with Leech Seed took out Pancakes. That was really rough, but I think I could have won that. Next try, this time I led with Guns, who took out the Blue Blimp with a Magical Leaf. Next was his big tanky Milotic, so I kept him in. He landed a Leech Seed, but then got knocked out by an Ice Beam. I then sent in Quick Shot, but she didn't last much longer. Zen with Mucha next, and she didn't do much with a Thunder Punch, but then landed a critical high jump kick for the win, but now was at 49 health due to a Surf. Next was Tentacruel, who I had Khonshu try to take out, but this time, my Divine Beam didn't dodge the first Hydro Pump, so he fell. I then decided to bring Pancakes out, and he beat Squidward up. Next was his Wallace's Ludicolo, who then tried cheesing me out with a double team, but Pancakes wasn't having that shit. Then was his Wish Cache, who was effective as he was last time, and last was Gyarados. I swapped Zen in to absorb the Intimidate, but he was outsped, so we have no idea if he could have Thunder Punched and won us to fight then and there. Pancakes was brought back in, and now we see a familiar sight. But this time, Pancakes didn't have his toes broken, so he tanked an Earthquake, and with the power of friendship, took out the Raging Dragon, and won the fight. So, can I beat Pokemon Emerald with only version excluded Pokemon? Yes. This run was a lot of fun, even if at the start I struggled. I quite literally never used any of these Pokemon in any of my playthroughs of Emerald before, so I can certainly say it was unique. As for the reason why Game Freak didn't let him in, money. Money's the reason. Regardless, thanks for watching my video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. It would really help out a first-time YouTuber like me. Feel free to leave any ideas you have for future videos in the comments. Until then, I'm the Corruptus, and I'll see y'all next time.